Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
A warm welcome to you wherever it is you're watching, and from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. This is Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. I am Henry Igwebike. Right about now, we shall be moving to take a look at what our newspapers are saying for today. But just before we delve into it, please do visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Subscribe to our YouTube channel also at Enterprise TV7. With me in the studios to shed some light and analyze the newspaper headlines is Barrister Tunji Abdul Hamid. He is an attorney and also public affairs analyst. You're welcome to Enterprise Morning today, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us your time. And also with me in the studios is Mr. Olusegun Okunwade. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, Henry, and good morning to all our viewers this morning. Great to be here.
Thank you for giving us your time. We sincerely appreciate that. So right now, we shall be going to our newspaper headlines, and the first daily we have is the Vanguard newspaper. And the big story there says manufacturers threatened as CRR, that is cash reserve ratio, rises to 45.5% to 13.81 trillion naira. And the writer there says trend threatens a bank's intermediary role, analyst, and also companies' access to credit curbed as cost of money rises. On the third page of the newspaper, we have Ohaneze youths praise Tinubu flay media trial at a better Edu. And also we have Nigeria can't make progress without true federalism, and that's coming from Obong Victor. And on the downslip of the same newspaper, we have Supreme Court verdict. We didn't trade off Kano, and that is coming from the APC. I think I'd love to start this discussion with you, Mr. Olusegun Okunwade, and given your dexterity in this sector, especially accounting and all, do you really think the reason why manufacturers are threatened is because of the cash reserve ratio by the bank, or is it an issue of ineptitude of the people in charge of the policies in the Apex Bank?
Thank you very much, Henry. I have this to say that the two work interrelated. Okay. A policy does not stand on its own. It's people that actually, bring the implementation of those policies to place. The essence of cash reserves that we have with some of those banks is a fallback for those that are, doing businesses to have a comfort zone. And when you discover that some of those things are actually depleting day by day, there are a lot to it. You speak from two different angles. What is the position of the bank? Yes. With people that have one way or the other borrow funds and are not refunding. Oh, okay. And a lot of this happens with some of these politicians. They come up, set up companies, because they are highly influential, have access to some of these funds, and pretty difficult, to go down, to pay back as at Wendy, to give access to other people to get some of those things done. Also, some of the policy seems to be inconsistent over years, and it has its own impact on the survival of every businesses. The liquidity of every organization matters a lot in everything that you do, because you are battling the cost of operation, which every day keeps increasing, and liquidation will definitely be threatened. So all this works side by side. But when you put it to the regulators' side, you observe that in recent time they've not done so much in making sure that they tame some of those things that can actually reduce this cash reserves ratio that you're talking about, so that they can be, a leverage on which the manufacturers, the business owner can actually have access to some of these funds. It's really not been there. So you discover that a lot of people want an even where they can have access to funds, because I keep saying it, liquidity is very key. If you don't have funds to play around with or to invest in your business, even if you have great ideas, you go nowhere.
Definitely.
You go nowhere. So we want to actually call on CBN. When this new administration came on board, they said, well, the CBN will continue to be the regulators that they are meant to do, not doing the work of the commercial banks. Because they are now entrenching into the activities of the commercial banks, like we experienced in the last administration. You discover that how do you challenge yourself when you carry out activities that is meant for people you are supposed to regulate. So it's enough of it. So we want to believe that the new custodian of the activities of CBN will do what is needful. We actually need the survival of some of these enterprises, these businesses in question, and it's with the right implementation of the policy. It's not that we are back or weak policy. The problem we've always been having is implementing to letter. Like I always tell every individual, if we do what is needful, in the proper way, Nigeria is a great country. But most of the time, we bring in our own greed and selfish interest, which always move against the actualization of the right implementation of that policy. So I feel that CBN should play a key role in this that they are doing, because the survival of some of these businesses create a long way in reducing our high unemployment rate that, as we speak, I'm sure it's over 30% by what NBS said. Yeah. So we need, otherwise we are inviting ourselves to more crime, which we have seen as pervaded. People have now made criminality to be the order of the day as a means of survival, because no work is out there for anyone to do.
Exactly. Pastor Tunji, I understand the independence of the CBN, but I equally know that there are trade unions, which the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria are a subset. Do you think in our judiciary or in the law, it's possible to halt the action of the CCBN, especially when it seems to threaten, small and medium-sized and equally large-sized businesses in Nigeria?
Yeah, that is a general situation. It will be difficult to say yes or no. Okay. Because court issues are determined based on facts before it, circumstance of this particular case. Because you can't pick a general. Anybody can go to court against anybody, and the court can make order against anybody, whether CBN or any other institution of this country. So it depends on what you are bringing before the court. If what you are bringing before the court is within the power of the court to grant, the court will definitely grant it. So whether or not you are CBN does not matter. So it depends on whether or not those things they want to bring before the court are things within the powers of the court to entertain and even determine or even grant it. So if they can grant it, it will be granted.
Okay, so which means an individual has the right to walk up to the court and say these actions by CCBN is affecting the economy, is affecting the nation, and therefore something has to be done about it. You mean the court can hear such?
No. That's what I meant, and that's why I said it depends on each case. Okay. If you have a case in particular with CBN, because there's what we call locus. Okay. You can't just pick up a case and say, I'm in Nigeria, I want to go. Because in Chapter 2 of our Constitution, the lack of non-provision of education and economy are not justifiable. So you can't go to court and say because the CBN failed to make economy grow or this and that. I want to. No. It's not. They are not justifiable in court. So if you have a specific situation that has to do with you and a CBN have an issue which affects you as a person, then you can go to court and say, look, this act of CBN, when we have this and that, have affected my life because of their own the way they handle these things. So in that regard, you can sue. So it's not a straightforward yes or no answer. It depends on the circumstance or the nature of the case you want to file against CBN. So if you have the locus and you have the subject matter is within the power of the court to handle. The court will handle it. Mr.
Sheson, where does this leave genuine business people small, medium-sized, large-sized business people in all of this, knowing that just like you did say, some of these policies are made to cushion some of our leaders in authority who create companies and use that to go, take bad debts and all of that. But how can the CBN work around it to save genuine industrialists and small, medium-sized businesses who are looking up to the CCBN for help in form of credits?
In response to your question, you see, most of the time, the CBN do not follow the due diligence that they claim to do. You see, most of the time it's about who is behind the scene, influencing, the decision to favor individual. And that's why we've actually complained of systemic failure. The system do not identify individual. He has a rule that you need to follow. If you don't follow it, it takes you out of the bar. So I would say that CBN should try as much as possible to do what is needful in monitoring the commercial banks. CBN do not give some of those things out directly to the business owner. Is through the commercial bank. And they are supposed, the commercial banks, a CRR that they are supposed to maintain. But situation where bad debt is eating into your liquidity base with the CBN, it becomes an issue to actually fight. So when you monitor those things and people who are supposed to repay are not repaying back some of those funds, then you approach my brother at least to make sure that we have something on the table for them to work on. But the truth remains that we need to follow to letter defaulters who one way or the other do not have genuine businesses that they intend to carry out, but a way to have access. That are some of the lapses that we had when we were doing this foreign exchange racketeering in such a way that people that do not even need the foreign exchange are having access to it, and they are reselling to those that actually needed it, which when you apply to CBN, they will tell you that they don't have so much, but you have it in the public domain of people selling black market to you. Even when you look at the cash scarcity, same is applicable. You go out and see people, not spraying old notes, new notes, but you can't have access to it at the commercial bank. Even the cash that we're talking about is difficult to get from the commercial bank, but you can see it out there. Yes, point of service sales, and even from the market room. So you discover that CBN should be intentional in following through some of the regulations that they've actually put in place. I will always query them in the sense that you said over 3-point-something trillion cash is in circulation, but people are still yearning and crying that there is no cash. Do you want to tell me that some of the systems you have put in place are not flagging those that are withdrawing out of limits of some of the things that they are supposed to, either as individual or as corporate organization? So what do you do when you see some of those things being flagged? What action are you taking so that you can penalize someone? I'm sure you heard some of this bank management that has actually been changed, and those that are actually being called by EFCC to question them on certain things that has to do with particular ministry. I feel that what we lack is that most of the time we take our eyes off the radar when it has to do with certain people creating double standard, and we run, after those who have genuine reason of doing the business, even when they make defaulters. So I feel that we should make it everybody equal before the law, and make it a level playing ground so that everybody can have access. And my concern, you see, when some of these things happen, is interrelated. We should be able to work in such a way to reduce the unemployment level that we have, and with that we'll be able to tame what we call insecurity.
Very, very true. Very, very, very true. Now let's move to our next daily for today, and this is coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. And the big story there says bandits hold 5 sisters after killing one in Abuja. And the writer there says demands 100 million naira. Pantami'S friend raises 50 million naira. And also, still on the rider, we have 4 other captives killed in Kaduna. Ilorin Union urges federal government to rescue abductees, and we have intensified rescue operation, and that's coming from the Nigerian police. And on the top slip of the same newspaper, we have 100 days of war on Gaza. Israel kills 23,968 Palestinians. And also, airlines trapped funds. Pressure mounts despite $61 million release. Barrister, let's look at this really troubling issue, and it's so shameful, at the same time despicable, that in the heart of Nigeria, our federal capital territory, Abuja, we still have people coming to kidnap Nigerians in reckless abandon, and we ask ourselves, where have we gotten it wrong, that even in the heart of Abuja we are having this sort of issue?
Unfortunately for me, the current issue we're talking about directly affects me because one, the person in office is my town, and his family is not even far from my family, so there are people who I know directly. So it's very unfortunate that this has happened. You see, we cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. Are we doing the right thing? Are we doing anything? In fact, this government that we have, the current government, is not even talking more about it's not even doing more about what's it called, fight against security or insecurity. They are not doing anything like that. What we do, we only mount fighting against insecurity. So if you are doing this, and I won't blame the military and the police officers, because I won't blame them in the sense that, look, you can't, they are overwhelmed.
They're overwhelmed?
Very overwhelmed. How many?
In spite of the money invested in them, technical
money. If you the whole money in this, like, can you alone occupy, do all the program in this station and do everything every day in, day out, without any other person supporting you? You can't do it alone. What I say when I say they are overwhelmed, it's not everything is not about money, and I'm not even sure they are well paid. We are hearing trillions of naira being drawn out to security or whatever. They are not sure whether those who are even fighting the security are getting the money. Those who are in the administrative position probably are the ones getting the money. How many are the soldiers that we have in the country? How many are the police that we have in the country? When we don't have the personnel, we don't have enough personnel. The same set of people will be the one to go to Zamfara. The same set of people will be the one to go to Benin Kebbi. The same set of people will be the one to go to. So what I'm saying that we have I was listening to the Commissioner of Police, the PRO of police in Lagos State. He said in Lagos State that we say we have about 20 million people. That the entire police force in Lagos State is 17,000.
17,000?
Yes, that's what he said. So what would they do? And out of these 17,000, we have some of them who are with VIP, some with VIP, some with ordinary Nigerians who have money. So what are we talking about? So we don't have, and we're not recruiting. We're not doing enough to have this money. And again, we're not even doing enough. Again, when we're not even punishing people that are caught committing this crime, they will be emboldened, because we call some of these people who call bandits and we call what's it called? Kidnappers. Some of them are arrested, and some of them are given an amnesty. And there are rumors that some of them are even what was the adjective they used? Well, they were returned to military or something like that, and what they were absorbed into the military. You know, there are debates or the disagreements whether it's true or not. They will say that they are now repentant, and therefore, so somebody who you are alleged of stealing one naira at Oshodi will not be repentant. It will be in custody for years, and then will be taken. So, for people who have killed people, in fact, we are even more concerned about those who kill than the victim. If you see the kind of program we bring out, we give more for the killers. And even the people who the victims are in IDP, and the killers are being given the ceremonial return.
Receptions.
Yeah, exactly. And these people will still go back and do the same thing. So we are not doing the right thing. We are not punishing people for committing crime, and we are not recruiting enough. We are not giving enough encouragement to people who are fighting it. In other words, there is not enough motivation in terms of finance. And you may be, like I said, you may be hearing millions of naira, trillions of naira being dollars. I'm not sure those who are fighting are getting, because we hear sometimes they complain about going on strike, or even they're protesting that they have not been paid their allowances, or how much are they even paid. So you can't be fighting war of the country and be thinking of how your children will pay school fees, how your wife will live in this house, where will they pay? So these are the issues.
Inflation
are not doing the right thing, and then the priority is too wrong. We are so lackadaisical, and then we want to when the government is even paying some what's it called, ransom. What do you expect? So the police are paying ransom themselves. So what do you expect? So until we have the right thing, we do put the right thing, and then we are also not proactive. We always react to it. Once this one is gone now, and then you do not hear any issue of a kidnapper or any bandit or whatever, the government will go to sleep and nothing will happen thereafter. So we need to plan ahead, and then we need to massively recruit into the army and into the police and other security agencies that we have in this country. By that, we will be well equipped, and then we will be able to take the fight to them, not sitting back, allow them to attack or operate, and then we start chasing them and looking for them. It's not good. It's unfortunate. I'm not too comfortable with it. The people before their arrest and before the kidnapping, people were killed at the point of the kidnapping. When they came to attack or to kidnap, one of his brother who was not around, they called him, and when he was coming, he came with the police. And they the fire. That guy lost his life. Although the police, about a police or two or so, and even one or two or so of those kidnappers were also caught. But the innocent people went down on it. So it's not just like, and then one of them is not they were taken. They asked for ransom. They were not able to pay to show their intention that they mean business. The key one. And now people are talking about the one is being raised by a former minister too. And there's some other people. It's unfortunate.
Very, very unfortunate.
That former minister that was part of the problem in quotes.
Yeah.
Because he was in government.
Exactly.
He will now become an hero for bringing to save our people. Well, it's good. At least people will be safe for now. But I think we need to do more. Government needs to do more. But this government in particular, I'm not seeing. They may be doing it. I'm not seeing what they are doing in terms of.
They're not even mentioning it at all. You know, it doesn't really come to.
Money. Yeah. They are more concerned about bringing in money. I know because some people say poverty is one of the reasons why we are having this problem, or lack of a good economy. Probably they are looking down. Look, if we provide enough economy for people will be able to. That insecurity will go down. Probably that's why that's their thinking. But it's not working. They need to change it, and because we can't be doing the same thing the same way. And expecting difference. We need to change that.
Very, very true. Mr. Olushunson, I love to talk about the issue of priority. Nyesom Wike is the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, which equally gives him the right as, if we might maybe see it from the area of he's equally the governor of the FCT. And do you think he is overtly being distracted? Because these are issues within his jurisdiction. He is the Chief Security Officer of the FCT. Do you think he is overly being distracted by things that shouldn't, really come to the minds of a leader in his capacity?
Yeah, well, I won't say he's being distracted, but the little point is, you said he's the Chief Security Officer, but he's really not being empowered. He's not empowered to actually execute some of those things. He may have all the apparatus seated in Abuja. You know what gives me worry if this is happening in Abuja, what's happening in other states?
Exactly.
And that's why some of us, people like me, have been an advocate of state policing and community policing. But they keep telling you that the politicians, we hijacked it for their personal whatever. And I said, let's put it to practice first. Because some of these things that are happening, it happened in FCT. But I can tell you, it may not be the art hub of FCT.
Yes, true.
So it's a community. You see, we metamorphosed from being a community to maybe to a community development area. And you have the CDCs,
yes.
You have the local government, you have the states. So situation where every individual, like what he's saying, if there is room for community policing, you discover that people will be recruited in that area. I remember those days when there were issues in Ikorodu. It took the local vigilante to prevail over the matter because they know themselves. By the time the program was organized in Ikorodu, the law enforcement agency was engaged, but majority of the local vigilante, the experience I had while one of them was talking said, see, police are here because they are law enforcement, but we, the local vigilante, we are here. And I heard him talk to one and said, please, there is no operation for you here. And those guys left. And
who is speaking to who? The vigilante.
They know the criminals.
Okay.
And that's why we keep saying that community policing is the way to go. They know themselves in the environment. Years back when I was in the banking sector, there was a bad experience that happened to me of someone who actually, those pickpockets picked my phone. And I got in touch with someone who I know is in charge of a particular area, and I said, I'm sorry, this was done. He said, at what time? What type of phone? And do you know that I got back the phone?
Wow.
So it's to tell you that this idea of getting instruction from the center all the time when it comes to policing, you say it's the CSO. We have in Lagos, if not for the intervention that Lagos State, this Lagos State Security Trust Fund, that they are actually embarking on to empower the RRS and some other people, things would have got lost than what we're talking about in Lagos. But the RRS complement, the police work that we have in Lagos. But by and large, who do they take instruction from? The CP will not take instruction from the governor, but rather wait for the approval of the IG on things that needs to do. So, can you know your house more than yourself? And that's what we said, even if the politician will hijack it during the election, that's a one-off thing. But the truth remains that as the CSO of that organization, you should be able to empower him. The state is his organization. You should be able to empower him so that you can now go to nitty-gritty. We've seen, if you see some estates, the kind of security they provide. Some go as far as, applying for ammunition for some of their security details. So I feel that we should go that route of going to have a state policing, community policing, in such a way that it will give room to what my brother have said, increase the recruitment of personnel. There are some people that is their work, and if you give them the room, but they may not have access to the national police force. Look at the work Amotekun is doing in the southwest region. Look at what they are, the eastern part, they have their own. You can, have an handshake. We have the Lagos Neighborhood Watch here in Lagos. Have an handshake with some of these security apparatus in such a way that you will empower them to safeguard environment, not them carrying this stick that they want to attack somebody, bring AK-47.
How work? Of course, it will never work. All right, let's finally go to our left daily for today, and it's coming from the Punch newspaper. And the big story there says 7 major marketers get approval to sell Dangote fuel. And the writer says NNPC retail, Total, MRS, others make list await commercial terms. And Ipman, Petrom, to meet Dangote refinery this week, marketing deals. And on the top slip of the same newspaper, we have policemen not permitted to search citizens' phones, and that's coming from the Lagos Commissioner of Police. And also on the top slip of the same newspaper, we have Tinubu strip gulped 3.4 billion naira in 6 months. Wow. That's a very, very huge one. So, gentlemen, let's talk about 2 basic issues here, and I'd love us to start with the Dangote field, the Dangote refinery, that is. And there is this excitement amongst the Nigerians, when they hear the Dangote field or the Dangote refinery, rather, it's starting off the production. But I can still remember the chief spokesperson of the presidency, Ajuri Ngelale, said that Nigerians shouldn't be excited, that no industrialist is Santa, and therefore they shouldn't expect that fuel will drop below the price because it's produced in Nigeria. So why do you think Nigerians are overly excited and this is making big story on our dailies?
Okay, well, let me start by saying Ngelale may be right, but at least that will reduce the level of foreign exchange that will put on the finished product that we are bringing into the country. And if this is properly monitored, I have an issue there. It's not having some of these marketers. I'm sure you know how our fuel trickles to neighboring country, and they bring in naira as against bringing the foreign exchange. So for me, if it's properly monitored, we can start by saying, okay, fine. What is it selling the product to us? Let's remove the cost of freight. Let's remove the cost of foreign exchange because it's dominated in naira and it's producing locally in naira. So it's sells to us. So that should reduce. It may not be too drastic, but maybe from the 600, maybe we're talking about 500 or 4 something. So that's still within the reach. But the major issue is that you'll be able to open up the foreign exchange aspect for other businesses. Take, for example, repayment of this aviation issue that we are faced with. An average businessman that needs genuinely, get foreign exchange to get some of those things. Because chunk of what CBN concentrates more is this importation of fuel to avert scarcity. So you are releasing that because we now have a local refinery that can make that work. So even if you are not reducing the cost of that fuel on my own, that on its own is impacting in making sure that other arms of businesses are going to, have more attention to have access to foreign exchange. The second aspect of it is that some of the byproducts from this production that he is doing, don't forget, he has an handshake with Otedola in the area of fertilizer production that they have started. So some of the byproducts from the crude will definitely, be domesticated in such a way that they are input to other arms of businesses that we have. And when you put some of those things that before now are being imported, you export out crude oil, bring in the finished product, which is the PMX and DPK, and other byproducts are out there that they are selling back to us to mop up, the foreign exchange that we claim to have. So that on its own will make an input, an enroll into the development of our agriculture sector, road, infrastructure by providing bitumen and the like. So for me, it's a win-win. It's not just concentrating on the PMX, but what other area that will enhance the business and the economy of its own is something that we should be excited about. But I have a concern. Most of the time, these marketers have access to some of these things, just like we have in foreign exchange, but they sell to neighboring country at a very ridiculous gain, and that takes us back to corruption. How much are we monitoring to make sure that people that are caught doing some of these things that are meant for the benefit of the citizen, diverting it out, are actually punished? If you are not intentional about that, then it's going to be the same story of producing locally, of what we feel that can be satisfactory on our daily consumption. We'll still be lavishing to be crying and saying nothing is working.
Yeah, so a barrister, the cost of cement right now, Dangote cement right now, as of today, is 6,500 naira. Dangote has a factory where he produces same cement. And in line with what Mr. Olusegun did say, do you really think there's the feasibility that the price of fuel will trickle down, knowing that, okay, let's even juxtapose it with cement itself, because there's this outcry. We produce cement here, but the cost of cement in Nigeria seems to be a lot higher than what it is in other nations where the same Dangote cement equally has a factory. So do you really think Nigerians should expect a trickle down in the price of fuel with Dangote refinery in operation?
Yeah, before I go into your question, let me just first of all say something regarding what my colleague said. I think it will be unfair to expect Dangote not to sell to a neighboring company. This is not, you will recall this Dangote refinery is not a Nigerian refinery. He's a businessman, so he can sell to anybody. But if I even decide to say I'm not selling to Nigerians, it is his right. It is his business. So we can't say corruption, that's a corruption, or that is, it may be say unpatriotic.
No, where I will pick on you, my brother, sorry, is that as a country, the Nigerian government has stake in that business.
How much is at stake?
At least I know about 20%.
Is it not to influence and control the business?
To some magnitude, 20%.
The majority the decision will prefer. So in a company, the majority decision prefers. If those who have 80% shout and say, look, if we are selling, retaining this commodity in Nigeria, will run us into loss. We need to go outside. They have no choice. We have to go. It's not our own. It is his own, and his business is there to make money. So if he decides to say, look, I'm not selling for you to you people in Nigeria, I want to sell abroad, I want to sell somewhere else, we cannot see, no offense has been committed. And we can't crucify him for that. So, and there's nothing our government can do to say, look, you must do it, or therefore you are committed an offense. No, as far as I'm concerned. So, and again, I'm worried, I'm concerned. So I'm a layman when it comes to this energy of a team. Yeah. But I'm worried that, look, before now, what we're being told was that, look, the increase in price of what we're having today is because of the foreign exchange and this and that. And now we are now here in Nigeria, where the foreign exchange request will be reduced in terms of Dangote refinery. So why will it not? They call what the cost of landing, cost of this and that, cost of that. The cost of landing will not be there again. Some of that thing will not be there again. Why are we being told that it may not necessarily affect reduction in price? Why are we being told? So in that way, we need to look into something. The damage before now, what we are being told is not correct. That the price the price we are buying the freight now is because so thing it is so that, and those things may not be longer be there with Dangote refinery selling to us. So why I need question to that. I'm a layman in that, so I can't answer it. So and again, I think we also have to put it across to our people that what Dangote is to do now, as still today now, the one that is ready is AGO and what's it called, African PMS is still not a part of it. Yeah. So let's see what it will. For me, what we can guarantee from this, that I know that we can be likely be able to guarantee is availability of the product in Nigeria. And for now, for long, we have not been. There's not been scarcity. Yeah. So it's not, for me, it's not an issue. The issue is about the price. The price we are buying now is too high. It's very high. And then there's no way, and then we're being told that Dangote refinery coming to place will not change anything. True. So I'm only happy for Dangote. I'm happy for Dangote that his leaders is standing Gidigba. And he's going to remain the most richest black man in the world. Whether or not I should be happy for Nigerians, I don't know. Because now we say it may not likely make any difference for what we're having on. So what is it? Let us be happy for the Dangote and celebrating. Yes, very, very true. Let's be happy for our fellow Nigerian, Mr. Aliko Dangote. That's just about the time we have for our newspaper review. I'd love to say very big thank you to Mr. Olusegun Okunwade for being part of our show today. Thank you so very much,
Thank
sir.
you for having me.
And also Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Thank you so very much, sir, also for being part of our show today. So when we return, a female military officer cries out about abuse by her senior officers. In a bit, please don't go anywhere. It's still Enterprise Morning.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.